Welcome to the team, everyone. Grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get right to it. Today, I'm putting on my senior consultant hat to walk you through a highly critical, yet honestly pretty overlooked part of our infrastructure. We're diving into a complete explainer on how to upgrade your recruiting operations by completely mastering the privacy audit. Look, every single day, we're collecting massive amounts of personal data. And frankly, how we handle that data is literally the difference between thriving and sitting on a ticking compliance time bomb. So let's open up the playbook and get our house in order. I want to start by hitting you with a provocative question. Where do your rejected resumes actually live right now? Really think about it for a second. Do they live in a secure central hub? Or are they just lingering dangerously in some shared Google Drive? Are they sitting unread in a recruiter's personal email inbox? Or, my personal favorite, are they floating around in a random company Slack channel from a hiring committee discussion like 6 months ago? If you don't know the answer with 100% certainty, you've got a major vulnerability on your hands.
So here is our itinerary for this explainer. We're going to systematically eliminate your data liabilities step by step. We'll start with the core recruiting privacy problem. Then we'll map your data journey, assess your retention and risks, create a rock-solid action plan, and finally, look at some dangerous audit anti-patterns you absolutely must avoid.
All right, moving right into Section 1, the recruiting privacy problem and the recruiting dilemma. It is time to address these messy candidate data practices head on. We absolutely have to make the transition from ad hoc data handling to a systematic privacy practice. I mean, we've all seen it, right? The recruiter with a desk completely covered in sticky notes and printed resumes. And yeah, that chaos might feel fast in the moment, but a keep everything everywhere approach is a massive liability. What we actually need is the safety and the efficiency of a structured, audited system. So let's define our terms here. A privacy audit is a systematic review of data collection, storage, access, transmission, and retention practices to identify compliance gaps. Now, what's really interesting about this is that it's not just about legal fears or checking some compliance box. It's really about building a clear operational roadmap. It transforms privacy from something murky and scary into a disciplined, manageable process. That brings us perfectly to Section 2, mapping your data journey and mapping the process. Simply put, we cannot protect what we cannot see. So, tracking the life cycle of every single candidate data point is an absolute necessity. Okay, here are the first 4 discovery phases of our audit methodology. Phase 1 is mapping the process step by step, from that initial online application all the way to the final offer. Phase 2 is tracking the data storage and access. Phase 3, you assess retention and deletion. And Phase 4 is identifying the actual privacy risks. Now, the absolute crucial takeaway in Phase 1 is that you have to document all intermediate data. Think about it. You might collect 50 pieces of information throughout the whole recruiting process, even if you only end up using 10 of them to make a decision. But guess what? You are responsible for all 50. To do this effectively, you need a crystal clear visual inventory. For every single data element, let's say a resume or interview notes, you map out exactly its storage location, who has access to it, and how it's transmitted. But fair warning, be prepared, because mapping this out usually reveals some truly horrifying habits. You might discover unencrypted candidate notes just floating around open workspaces, or applicant tracking exports sitting permanently on someone's desktop. It happens way more than you think. Let's pivot over to Section 3, assessing retention and risks and assessing vulnerabilities. This is where we tackle the single biggest mistake recruiters make, which is hoarding data forever. The golden rule of data liability really just boils down to data minimization. This means collecting only the necessary candidate data you need for recruiting decisions and systematically deleting all the rest. Bottom line, if you don't need it, delete it. Gathering social media profiles you know you're never going to look at or asking for unnecessary demographic info is just a massive, completely unforced compliance risk. So you need an explicit, formalized retention policy with a strict timeline. Standard best practice usually looks a little something like this. Give it 6 months to delete rejected candidates, 1 year to delete offer documentation, and 7 years for background checks, usually per legal holds. Look, saying, oh, we just keep everything indefinitely is no longer an acceptable answer, because indefinite retention is indefinite liability. Once you actually map your data and your retention, you're going to start spotting these really common high-severity risks. Unauthorized access means candidates definitely didn't consent to their resumes sitting in a shared drive for the whole company to see. Unnecessary demographic collection, like, say, inferring someone's age from their graduation date, Unencrypted email transfers and storing data on devices that aren't even password protected, those are severe security risks. And of course, the big one we just talked about, indefinite data retention. Now, here is a vital reality check you absolutely cannot ignore. Your vendor's data handling determines your actual privacy posture. You could run a perfectly compliant in-house operation, but if your background check company or your fancy video interview platform or your assessment vendor keeps candidate data forever, then you have terrible security. It's that simple. You have got to audit your vendor contracts. Okay, moving right along into Section 4, creating your action plan and creating the roadmap. We've identified the mess. Now it's time to actively clean it up. So these are the final action steps of our audit. Phase 5 is developing very specific recommendations for every single risk you found. Phase 6 is prioritizing those into a timeline and creating your action plan. And Phase 7 is thoroughly documenting your entire audit. Basically, we are turning your risk discoveries into a concrete, prioritized roadmap. And pro tip, you want to tackle the highest risk, easiest items first, like immediately moving sensitive data off of those unsecured shared drives. But here is the hard truth, folks. Every recommendation needs a specific owner and a strict timeline. Vague goals fail every single time. If fixing unsecured resume storage isn't specifically assigned to a recruiting manager with a strict 2-week deadline, I guarantee you it simply won't happen. Somebody has to own the responsibility. Phase 7 is all about documentation, and this is exactly where you build your shield. Your final audit document is your ultimate compliance foundation. It records your current state, your data inventory, your risks, and your action plan. If regulators, auditors, or litigation ever come knocking at your door, this written report is your absolute proof that your organization actually takes privacy seriously. Let's transition to our final section here. Dangerous audit anti-patterns and dangerous traps. I really need to warn you about the fatal mistakes that can completely ruin even the most well-intentioned privacy audits. There are 3 major anti-patterns you have to avoid. First up, auditing without taking action. If you conduct an audit, identify all the risks, and then just quietly file the report in a drawer without budgeting the time and resources to fix things, you are essentially just documenting your own negligence. The risks don't magically go away on their own. Second, auditing your technology but totally ignoring your manual processes. And third, as we touched on just a minute ago, completely ignoring your vendor risk. I really want to hammer home that second anti-pattern, because honestly, it's where most companies fail. The biggest data breaches happen in manual processes outside of your fancy software. You might document that your applicant tracking system has completely perfect access controls. But what happens when a recruiter downloads a batch of 50 resumes into an unprotected spreadsheet or shares highly sensitive interview notes in a public Slack channel? Technology security is vital, for sure, but it is a total illusion if you don't also audit the manual human processes. So as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with this final provocative coaching question. If you conducted this full privacy audit right now, today, which findings would surprise your leadership the most? Would it be the indefinite retention, the vendor vulnerabilities, the random resumes sitting in Slack? Really think about what one specific, measurable step you can take this week based on what we've covered here. It's time to step up as the privacy champion of your organization, map out your current state, and start taking action today.